What's up guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Emma if you're new here, and I love to talk about all things Peloton cycling and fitness, so be sure to subscribe if you haven't already. I post every single Sunday, and today's video I'm very excited for. I'm going to be celebrating some Peloton milestones, and then I also thought this would be a good video to kind of reflect on the year of 2022, how my fitness journey has been going, and what I'm looking forward to in 2023. But right now it is a Wednesday morning, and today I'm going to hit my 500th strength milestone and my 1000 cycling milestone. So this just kind of happened to line up, and then I was like, might as well take advantage, do all my milestones in one day. I still have never gotten a shout out, so we'll see if today is the day. My username is corgo, just corgi, but with an O at the end. And I don't know if instructors don't know how to pronounce it because it's not a real word or what, but yeah, I've never gotten a shout out, and I have tried quite a few times, but today we're feeling lucky. So I'm going to start out and do the 20-minute hip hop bar Ally Love class. It's 9:30 a.m. EST on December 21st, 2022. And I have to do a quick strength class beforehand because I'm only at 498 classes right now, but I really want this to be my 500th because there's actually not that many live strength classes. I don't know if it's because it's around the holidays or what, but there's not that many. And then also, since I'm home, I need it to be a strength class that doesn't involve weights, so options are limited. This is definitely my best one though. I've never done a live strength class before, so I'm interested to see how it is. I mean, I don't think it'll be that different. I'm kind of curious how many live people tune into a bar class, but I think it will be fun. Hopefully, maybe Ally Love will call out some people before and after the class. And I feel like 500 is a pretty big milestone. So we'll see. And then later on in the day-to-day, I'm going to have to take a break between my workouts, which is not obviously something that I would normally do, but I do have off today, so I can do it. And I really want to take this ride as my 1000th ride. It is a 30-minute pop punk ride by Bradley Rose from December 21st, 2022. It's at 2 p.m. EST, and I absolutely love Bradley, and I really like the pop punk rides. They're pretty much my favorite fun ride on the platform. So I know it'll be a good time. I'm not sure if I'll get a shout out, but we'll see. If not, 1000th milestone is still great, and it's still an awesome accomplishment even without the shout outs. So that's what is on the agenda today. Let's go knock out this bar class, wait 4 hours, and then knock out this cycling class.
Corgo or cargo, 500 today.
Corgo, go get him. 84, D George, 1000.
I was 2 for 2 on the shout outs today, which is kind of incredible considering I have never gotten a shout out before. And I wonder if it's a little bit easier now that Peloton is not as popular, but I feel I tried so many times at the beginning where I was doing my 100, 200, 300, and I would just never get shout outs. For the Ally Love bar class, we started, and at first I was really nervous that she wasn't going to do any shout outs because I had never realized this before. I have taken bar before, but they don't actually have the little iPad near them, and I was oh no, it's just going to be no shout outs. But then I'm what is the point of a live ride if she doesn't interact with the audience at all? And then there must be some big TV screen off because she was kind of glancing over at it. But during the entire class, she only gave 2 shout outs, I think. One person for having 2850 strength classes, and I was is that even a milestone at that point? 2850, you really got to celebrate that? And the other one was 1600, and I was oh my gosh, there's no way I'm gonna get a shout out. These people just have way too many classes to compete with. But then right at the end, after we already did the cool down and did stretching, and she talked about muscle groups, then she gave a couple of shout outs, and she gave a shout out to me. At first she was corgo, cargo, I think it's because the screen was far away, but she wasn't sure what the name name was, but still got it. She was talking about me. She did shout out the 500, so that was great. Besides that, the class was a pretty average bar class. I was surprised there were like 800 people live, which I thought was a lot for a strength class, but I don't do strength classes live, so I don't really know if that's high or not, but pretty basic. We did a warm up, then we did some arms, we did core, and then we finished with legs. Bar just always gets you with the little movements that build up over time, but it was definitely a good workout. I did do a quick 10-minute arms and light weights class with Ally Love that was not live before this class, just so that I could hit my 500th in this class. And she gave so many shout outs in that class. So I feel like if you're trying to do strength shout out, maybe do arms and light weights because they're on the bike. So they like have the screen in front of them. And since you repeat moves a lot, it gives them a lot of time to like scroll and do shout outs. So definitely going to keep that in mind for next time. But I'm very, very happy with my first shout out of the day. And then I waited, got on the bike with Bradley Rose for the 30-minute pop punk ride. And again, there were like around 800 people in that class, which I thought was a little low for a ride, but it might be because it was at a weird time. It was 2 p.m. Eastern. So if you're in America, like you basically don't have work on Wednesday to be able to take this class. So it kind of makes sense. Although it is later at night for people in London, but I don't really know like what the makeup of Peloton's user base is. I would assume it's more Americans, but I do not know, but we got into the class and it was a super fun class, really great music. I love Blink-182 and they usually do play Blink-182 in the pop punk rides, as they should. And he played Blink-182. He also played All Star by Smash Mouth, which I think is a great song. I like it. I feel like it's kind of a meme at this point, but I enjoy it. And again, pretty basic class. You just did like spin ups, you went up a hill, you did a jog, like very classic music ride on Peloton. And he started at 200 milestones. He probably shouted out at least 100 people in this ride, which is crazy because there's only like 800 people on the ride, but I guess everybody only comes to live rides to get shout outs. It makes sense. And at first I was worried that he wasn't going to get up to 1,000 because he was literally calling them out. Like every time that we were doing recovery, he's going through calling them out and he worked all the way up to 1,000. He didn't call out any like 50 milestones or like 150, 250, but he did call out all of the hundreds. So from 100 to 1,000. So my shout out was right at the end. It was during the 1 minute cool down. And I kind of like that he like went in order because then I knew it was coming so I could film when I thought I would get shouted out. And he knew it was corgo, not cargo. So very happy with my 2 shout outs. At the end of the day, it really doesn't mean anything, but it was still a really fun ride. Got a ton of high fives. So it was just like a great thing to do live and to reflect and be like, wow, I've done 1,000 rides on Peloton. Like that's a lot, especially considering this year I didn't ride that much. So very proud of myself. And you know, I wonder how long it'll take me to get to 2,000. Probably quite a long time. But now that the celebration is over, I thought that this video would be great to kind of like merge into my year review video / like fitness goals for next year. It's kind of nice that I did these strength and cycling milestones like right at the end of this year, kind of have a fresh start going into next year. So I actually did a video very similar to this last year where I reflected on 2021, set goals for 2022, and I watched it in preparation for this video. And first off, wow, my hair was really short a year ago. And second off, I met like none of my fitness goals that I set for this year, which in the grand scheme of things, I'm totally fine with. Like a lot of things changed this year. And I know for a fact, a lot of things will change this coming year for me too. So I'm not stressed out about it, but I do think it's nice to kind of like sit down, reflect on what happened this past year, and then like set goals for this year. Even if I don't meet the goals, it's nice to kind of have a game plan and just kind of know like what I'm working towards. Last year, I downloaded my Peloton data and put it into Peloton and like did analysis on that. That is totally focused on cycling. So I'm not going to do it this year because I have cycled so much less. And it's funny because one of my goals from last year was to hit 5,000 miles this year. And I don't even know what I've hit. Definitely under 1,000. But I really cut cut down the cycling, which I'm fine with. I did have 2 PRs this year though. I PR'd on the FTP test when I was home in the summer and took it, and it was the one time I took it this year. And then I also PR'd on a 90-minute Power Zone endurance ride with Matt Wilpers this year, also while I was home in the summer, which is interesting because I feel like the bike in my apartment currently is not calibrated correctly. I think it's easier, but I didn't have any PRs from that, mostly because now I don't take a lot of like difficult or technical rides. I mostly just take like fun rides when I do ride, which is not super frequently. So even though I feel like the bike is easier where I am now, I'm still not PRing, which is kind of funny. And that also kind of loops into the second goal that I laid out for myself in last year's video, which was take the FTP test more, because I only took it once in 2021. And you know, I only took it once in 2022, and I'm more okay with it now. I think it mattered more when I would do a lot of Power Zone training, and honestly, like, I don't do a lot of Power Zone training anymore. So it's okay that I'm only taking it once a year. I am setting a goal this year that I want to take it again at least once, because I feel like I could even like push it off and not take it at all this coming year. But I think it's good to like track progress, and even if I don't get my score up at all or it goes down, it would just be like a good piece of information to have, even though I'm not planning on doing like any super intense Power Zone training. But you know, never say never. Who really knows what will happen this year? But I do want to take the FTP test at least once this coming year, just to keep track of things. And now to kind of get into more of the meat of this past year, what was I doing because I was not cycling? So I was part of a gym. I went to Equinox for 7 months. I recently quit due to like class time changes, and also it's not super compatible with traveling a lot, which I do currently home in Pennsylvania. I know I have travels coming up in this coming year, so quit that, but I did really enjoy it while I was there. And while I was there, I was cycling like once to twice a week. I do a 45-minute spin class with a in-person instructor, but that's kind of like where the cycling really fell off. I joined in mid-March. Before that, I was in Hawaii for all of January, so I was running. But then for about a month and a half in February to mid-March, I really was grinding out the cycling. But then my boyfriend and I moved out of his parents' house. We started living in our own apartment, and I joined Equinox. And the main reason I joined Equinox is I wanted to get more into strength training, and I wanted to start lifting heavy, like with real gym equipment, which also did not happen. So it really shows I planned on a lot of things and none of them really panned out. But I did really try to get more into heavy lifting, try to use more gym equipment, and I feel like I could have put a harder effort into it. But I just felt like there was still a really large barrier of like learning all the equipment. And I really enjoyed watching like Whitney Simmons, and she has a lot of like really approachable things to do at the gym. Like I'd follow her like week workouts and just completely follow her because I was such a newbie. And while I didn't not like the sets that she made, I think that they were great. I just started taking classes every single day at Equinox. They have strength classes, they have cycling, they have yoga. And once you do like 45 minutes of that, like I wasn't going to also start lifting weights too. I really, really enjoyed being in person with instructors. The instructors definitely arranged somewhere really great and gave me form correction, which is like one of the biggest things I wanted out of Equinox. And someone just like let you do whatever you wanted. So definitely a wide range, but I think I did learn a lot and kind of got into better strength practices while I was at Equinox. The other big thing is I got a lot more into yoga. Yoga just kind of intimidated me before I started going in Equinox, because on Peloton, I feel like I didn't know like what classes to pick at all. Some classes were way too hard. Some I felt like were way too easy. And then I also just had like no flexibility. So that also made it way harder for me, way less likely to like take a yoga class on Peloton. I still took some before I joined Equinox, but not a lot. Just kind of got way more into it in Equinox. We do longer practices there. Like it's typically a 45-minute to an hour long class compared to Peloton, where a lot of their content is only like 20 to 30 minutes. And I think for yoga, the longer, the better, because you need to like warm up, get your body moving, really stretch out before you can get into like some of the things that require more flexibility. So I think longer yoga classes are better. There are longer classes on Peloton. They just do offer a lot of short ones too. And then I was only choosing the short one. So that was on me. And now I know I can like take longer ones as well. But Equinox definitely helped me get more into strength, more into yoga, and kind of have cardio take more of a back seat, which was one of my goals this year. I knew that I wanted to get more into strength, so I'm not upset about that. Then I quit Equinox at the end of October, and I'm currently going to the gym in my apartment building that has everything you need, also has Peloton bikes. So no real complaints about this gym. It's pretty good, but ever since I quit Equinox, I just haven't really gotten back into cycling on Peloton. I've actually gotten way more into running, which if you told me that a year ago, I would be surprised. I did run a half marathon in 2021, but it was definitely more of a spur of the moment type thing. It didn't really like train a lot, and then once it was over I was kind of like, okay, I'm done running. But I was running a little more when I was at Equinox. I filmed some tread videos. They had very nice treads in Equinox, so I was taking advantage of that. And then that kind of just got me more into running. And I still do that more when I'm in LA than cycling, because if I'm going to do like strength to cycling, I need to like bring my change of shoes. I have to log into the Peloton bike. I have to readjust it because it's not only my Peloton bike. There's also only one Peloton bike in my apartment gym, which is usually not a problem. But on the off chance that somebody is on it, then like it's this whole thing. So I feel like that discourages me from cycling. But then I also feel like I just like the running content currently right now. And I try to let my fitness interests go wherever. And like, as long as I'm working out, I'm happy, because I feel like if I start forcing myself to cycle every day, I'll be unhappy and then I won't want to work out at all. So right now I'm definitely focusing on running. I definitely see that looping back around and getting back into cycling more. Will it happen this year? Who knows? It'll definitely be interesting to see how this year goes. There are like two big things happening this coming year for me. So first off, my boyfriend is graduating medical school and he has time off. So we're going to Europe for around like 3 to 3.5 weeks, which is going to be amazing. We are so excited for this trip. It's definitely going to be like a trip of our lifetime. I have requested time off from my work, so I'll like not be working remotely like I was in Hawaii, and Chris will be completely off. So that's going to be amazing, but obviously I'm not going to be like working out a ton while we're sightseeing around Europe. And then since he's graduating med school, he'll also get into residency somewhere, and we'll find that out in March. And I would say there's like a 90% chance that we won't be in LA. He kind of interviews like all around, and there's definitely places I want him to go more than others, but it's not really up to us. He will rank the schools, but then with residency, basically like he ranks schools and then all the schools rank him, and then there's like a match process. At the end of the day, he's interviewed at all great schools. I'm sure it's going to work out, but you know, we're probably going to be moving, which is going to be a huge change in our current lives. Our lease ends in Los Angeles in the middle of March, and then we're just gonna move back with his parents. Thankfully, Chris's parents are very generous and like very welcoming that we can kind of just like move back whenever, because then in June we will have to, you know, go wherever he gets into residency. So that's definitely going to be a very big shift, and like I'm interested to see how that impacts my fitness goals for this coming year. But with all of that, I did set goals for this coming year. There were two other goals from last year that I haven't addressed yet. The first is that I wanted to do a Power Zone Pack challenge. I just never got into that because I was traveling, and then I joined Equinox, and once I joined Equinox, it was all over from there. I definitely still want to do that at some point. I just don't know when. I don't think that it will be like these coming months, but they do look fun, and I still want to do that and challenge myself. And then the other goal that I set last year is I wanted to participate in 3 races, and I only did 2, but I'm happy with the 2 I did. I did the Donut Derby with my dad, which is a bike race. You also ate donuts. I did a video about that, and I did the Turkey Trot with Chris and his family on Thanksgiving. That was just a 10K run. It was a lot of fun. I feel like 10K is a nice distance, and LA weather is really perfect for running, so I can't complain about those 2. I definitely wanted to do a longer race, like maybe another half marathon, and it just didn't happen. I was looking into it when we were in New York, or when we were going to be in New York, and then I came back and ran in the humidity of the East Coast, and I was like, never mind, we're not doing that. And then coming back from New York and coming back to LA was just so hectic that it just never happened. So that leads us into this coming year's goals, 2023 goals. And the first one is to participate in 2 races where one of them is at least a half marathon. We will see. I kind of have been dabbling with the idea of trying to run a marathon. Honestly, when I was taking Ashton Kutcher's runs on Peloton, he like really inspired me. And he kind of really pushed to like, oh, take advantage when you're healthy and able to, like, you know, push yourself. So I was like, maybe we'll see. But I definitely want to do whatever I do in LA before I leave LA. In case if we're going to the East Coast, LA just has way better running weather. I hate the humidity of the East Coast. Running in it is so horrible. So we'll have to see if I can knock something out early next year. And then for the other race, I'm kind of leaving it open-ended. I already know I won't be able to do the Donut Derby this coming year because it is the weekend of one of my best friend's bachelorette parties. And obviously very excited to celebrate with my friend who's getting married, but it will be sad that I can't do the Donut Derby and can't defend my title, but I will be back in 2024. My next goal is to do more strength and kind of get into more of a routine with doing split training. I'm currently trying all of the different split training programs on Peloton. I have one more to try at this point, and then I'm going to pick one and I'm going to commit to it. I don't think that I can do it every single week, but even if I can do it like 1 to 2 times a month, I feel like I would really see progress. Even from trying all the different split trainings, I've been seeing strength progress, but I think really committing to one will help me like track my progress over the months. And I definitely want to get stronger. And I also want to continue doing yoga. I really got into yoga at Equinox and I've been trying to keep that alive. For some reason, whenever I get busy or I'm trying to cut down my workout, like yoga is always the first thing to go, but I always like doing yoga. I just feel like I'm like, oh, I have all these strength goals, I have these cardio goals, and I don't really have yoga goals specifically, and that makes it easy to cut, but it's something I just need to be mindful of and keep doing, because by doing yoga, it makes me better at the other disciplines. It stretches me out, makes me more flexible, helps me run better, helps me cycle better. Like, I really do like yoga, so just continuing to do that this coming year. And then with doing strength more, doing yoga more, I also want to commit to keeping my workouts like around an hour or less. Some days I do go over. Some days I go for a long run or a long ride, and that's totally fine. But previous to this year, I was working out quite a bit. Like, I would do cardio for an hour and then I'd do strength on top of that. And I feel like this year, especially after coming back from Equinox, I really have cut down my workout time. I typically do workouts that are less than an hour, and I honestly feel like I see more results because I'm better rested and I'm not like burning myself out on an hour of cardio. So just to keep that in mind this coming year, I think it should be fine. I've fallen into a pretty good routine, but keep the workout lengths shorter, and less is sometimes more. I really do feel more refreshed, more eager to work out because I'm not like burning myself out so much every day. But that's just like a personal thing. Whatever works for you works for you. But I definitely feel like I have seen better results by cutting down my workouts and being like more mindful in what I pick to do. Like I mentioned before, I do want to take the FTP test at least once. It's changed a lot since last year where I was like, oh, I just want to take the FTP test like more often. You should be taking it every 6 weeks. At least once, just to keep my progress tracked. And then my final goal is related, but it's not like super workout. It's just to continue to do more outdoor activities that like are related to exercising, I guess. My boyfriend and I have definitely become more outdoorsy this last year, and it's something that I personally would like to continue. We definitely aren't like doing crazy outdoorsy stuff every weekend, but we've gotten into hiking more, which is always something that I've enjoyed doing and like is like fun exercise in my opinion. We started playing tennis more, which, you know, I'm not the best at, but it again is like something fun to do, something to move your body without like being like, oh, run 5 miles. And then we also have started skiing, which we don't do very frequently, but that's also like a fun outdoorsy activity to do. But just to take if we have like a free day on the weekend to think like, oh, what can we do that is fun? And it also is like good exercise. So those are all of the goals this year. I feel like besides doing the split training and committing to trying to participate in 2 races, a lot of them are more like wishy-washy, but they're just things I want to keep in mind going into the new year. And it really helps to like sit down and reflect on what you did this past year and what you want to change and what you want to do in the new year. So let me know if you do like any kind of like analysis or reflecting on the past year, what you have thought of and what your goals are for 2023. I would be curious. I always like to hear what other people's goals are because, you know, sometimes they inspire me to change my goals too. So that's it for this video. I hope you guys have a happy new year. Have a great week and I'll see you in my next video. Bye.